Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be speaking at the WBC again. I last spoke in 2016 when I was a young PhD student full of dreams. And I'm back to talk about a paper that we've done as part of my postdoc project. And my name is Dave Collins. I'm a postdoctoral candidate from NTNU in Trondheim in Norway. And I've written this paper with my colleagues Agnar Johansen, Temeljotov-Salaj, and Coline. And our project is based on an urban redevelopment project that's in Norway at the moment, and the paper is called Get Smart: The Importance of Urban Facilities Management to Smart Neighbourhoods and Their Citizens in Projects' Early Stages. And hopefully over the next 10 minutes, I can give you a flavour as to what we've been doing. So firstly, to give a reason as to why we want to talk about these things, sustainable considerations in the field of urban facilities management and regular facilities management require not just a rethinking, but in many respects a complete reimagining of a lot of the values and processes and the conduct of the processes that we do within these ideas. And this can involve radical and progressive inclusions, such as urban FM to entrench FM into the urbanscape, but also fostering the development of smart neighbourhoods. And the development of smart cities is a big holistic consideration in all of this. And in this paper, we intend to investigate these links from the perspective of one project in particular. And it's the development of a smart neighbourhood in the city, near the cities of Lier and Drammen in Norway, just outside of Oslo. So our paper consists of two primary research questions. Firstly, in what ways can urban facilities management contribute to the development of smart neighbourhoods? And secondly, can urban facilities management facilitate citizen participation and the adoption of a human-centered approach to smart neighbourhoods? So I was going to say it's a paper of two halves, which is always the case with two research questions. We're very much looking at this from the perspective of a bigger picture on the topic and its impact more directly on the project, on the case study that we're going to talk about in this paper. So the methodology for this is in two halves. Firstly, it's a literature review, and we primarily use Google Scholar and Scopus for this, using a variety of search terms, urban facilities management, smart cities, urban FM and smart cities and citizen participation, and beyond what's in this slide, lots and lots of truncating of those search terms, because you can get thousands and thousands of hits, as all of us know, and we do these sorts of things. But one of the more interesting parts of our method for this city is we're using empirical data from the projects themselves to finally approach how to answer these research questions. So the project is called Fjordbyen, that we're going to talk about, and so it's the development of a new smart neighbourhood on the side of the fjord. And Lier, the surrounding town, decided to do a study to see what the needs would be for this future city when it was built. And they did two very, very big surveys to try and find this out, with a phenomenal amount of responses. So they did a survey that was aimed at young people, mostly aged between 30 and 19, which received a respectable 233 responses. However, when they surveyed adults, half of the respondents being between the ages of 46 and 65, they received 2,407 responses. You'll be challenged to find anybody who, on a similar scale, that's had such a good response rate as that. So it gives us lots of useful data to play with. We also did interviews with staff from the company that leads the project called ADOS, so we can get a bit further beyond the narrative that we simply have in those surveys. So I've talked in the previous slides about community and urban facilities management. Now, I know it's not necessarily a universally understood term, so I'm just going to take a moment of your time to explain to you what it is. So urban FM, according to Roberts, is the integrated provision of service accommodation and community support services. And then according to Hayward et al., it's the role that facilities and their management play in community life. So effectively, urban FM is taking the principles of facilities management that we know from the indoor environment, bringing it into the neighbourhood level as an opportunity not just to make sure that neighbourhoods run well with a high level of well-being, but also to stitch together the common infrastructure and aesthetic to make it seem like a cohesive community. So a little bit as well about the case study, as I mentioned earlier. It's called Fjordbyen, and it's about 187 square miles with a population of just, the municipality is 187 square miles, with approximately 27,000 people. And it's located very near Oslo, about half an hour's drive away. And it's on the shoreline of the Oslo Fjord, and it's going to represent one of the biggest developments of its kind in Norway, and it's going to be between Lier and Drammen municipalities. And the overall goal for this new smart neighbourhood is to have at least 16,000 residents and 16,000 new jobs in a zero-emission urban area. And as I mentioned previously, there is a company that is part funded by the municipality and part funded by the landowners called Eidos that's overseeing the project on its grander scale. So this is the land today. It's a combination of an old timber yard, industrial buildings and a car park. And the plan is over the next few years to turn it to look like this really exciting and really vibrant new community that's preparing the area for the future. So a little bit about the results of the surveys that they did. So the young people, they really prioritised that they wanted access to restaurants, good school cycle routes, as well as, and they wanted to have access to things like festivals, so land to hold music festivals and things, as well as ensure they had easy access to the capital city of Norway, Oslo, and also to Drammen. The adults placed a bigger emphasis on more of the infrastructural aspects of this. So they wanted to have neighbourhoods that were safe for families, they had good services for the elderly, good proximity to schools and good healthcare. That was very, very important to them. And in terms of the impact of the survey on the project, so the survey was done to find the needs of the residents. It was then given back to Eidos to do with it as they pleased. And the decision was that, the outcome was that the results were fed directly into the plan and the zoning plan and the facilities that they planned to design. And what was interesting for Eidos was that it reinforced a lot of the decisions that they had made before on the planning. So the survey didn't result in any substantial changes in terms of the plan, beyond the fact that it reinforced they were doing the right thing all along. But there was also some unexpected outcomes. So, for example, it showed that people weren't maybe quite as interested in fjordside living as they originally planned. Although whether that will impact the plan eventually is yet to be seen. So when we interviewed the Eidos, the company that did the survey, they had some things to tell us as well about this. So they said that well-being was a core tenet of their planning processes, and we're hoping that the survey would reinforce those ideas, with sustainability at its very heart. They also anticipated in advance that people would want to have good recreational spaces, which was also reinforced in the results of the survey. They also planned to have much more inclusive demographic facilities. So, for example, they were going to have a pleasure harbour, but decided that probably wasn't representative of the bigger population. So they have now emphasised better common areas that people can have for recreation. So, does Urban FM contribute to the development of smart neighbourhoods? Yes, it does, in principle. It does this by knitting together the outdoor areas and spaces, and affords for better consideration of well-being at the planning stages, and should result in a more citizen-optimised community as a result of this. And what about Urban FM and the human-centred approaches? Well, the interview showed that recreational areas were very, very important, and that will now become a part of what will come next. And the citizen survey also reflected that there were big kind of cross-demographic similarities between the need for barbecue areas, cycle routes, and those sorts of things. And Urban FM could ensure that you have a really good and well-planned and well-maintained urban recreational environment. So to conclude, the FjordBN was implemented with Urban FM in mind in some respects, if they didn't always know that, and well-being was considered a core development within that context. And I think this paper does reflect kind of this project in Norway, but are you interested to see to what extent it could have external validity, and could these sorts of surveys and Urban FM have similar impacts on bigger projects? And what is clear from the data presented here is that Urban FM has three main roles: maintenance, service and quality, and ensuring well-being. Well, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you every success for the rest of your conference. Bye from Norway.